This is a slide of my business partner. That's his uncle, Vincenzo Zetta. And Vincenzo used to live in Italy, and he died a few years ago. And since then, he's kind of been my mentor when I found out about him. I asked Tony, I said, out of curiosity, what did your uncle do for a living? And he said, he was a shepherd. And I said, well, what do you mean a shepherd? He said he was a shepherd. He had a flock of sheep, and he just walked around with them all day. And I just couldn't believe that in this day and age, someone could be a shepherd. Someone could make a living at it, because they weren't even his sheep. Someone else owned them, and he just worked there as an employee. But it helps when you live in the Mediterranean, which is probably one of the most sustainable climates in the world. And part of me thinks that one of the most sustainable things we could all do in the north is all move to the Mediterranean. But there's always a little bit of guilt, because we, as architects, we are given awards for sustainability, and I feel guilty about that, because these are the guys like Vincenzo Zetta, that really deserve awards. And we should be going to them and giving them awards where not so awkward. And the reason we can win awards as architects is because we, in the north, use so much of it. It's kind of a perverse logic, but we do a good job of saving energy because we use so much of it. And years ago, when the Soviet Union fell, everybody's talking about the East-West thing, how that was almost the end of history. But that was just a construct. And the real split in the world is really North-South. And there's this disparity here. The North is just using tons of the resources. We're all industrialized, and we're industrialized because we have to be, because we need resources to live here. But that doesn't necessarily make it right. Anyways, one of of all the serious issues about North-South, one of the lighter ones I like to talk about is the Olympics. The difference between the Winter and Summer Olympics. And there are a lot of people out there who really think that we should get rid of the Winter Olympics. I personally like watching them on TV. But their argument is that it's a really an elitist event. It's only for rich countries. It's only for rich people. It costs too much. It's too wasteful, and it's not pure to the Olympic spirit. And you gotta sympathize with that, especially like this image here in the Vancouver Games, when we started taking snow by helicopter to the top of the mountain. The idea of the greenest games ever sort of went out the window. In the Summer Olympics, this is all you need to participate in soccer. And this is what you need to participate in the winter, one of these big towers. Actually, you need 2 of those. Very expensive infrastructure. And after the games, it's pretty much useless. This is a trampoline, and Canada will never be the best in the world in soccer. But apparently we're the best in the world at trampoline. And this is what the northern countries do, like Canada. We keep inventing sports that poor countries can't afford so we can win gold medals. This is a picture of Sochi, and the Winter Games are starting there in a couple months. And it's going to be the most expensive games ever. It's going to cost over $50 billion. And most of that money is going to gangsters. And it's huge when you compare it to the Vancouver Games, which cost about $2 billion. Anyways, they're spending $50 billion on the games, and that part of the problem is that Sochi isn't in a winter climate area. It's actually subtropical. So part of that expense comes from a southern city trying to behave like it's a northern city. And only then do they realize just how expensive it is to live here. Nowhere is it more apparent of how much energy costs to live in the north than in the high Arctic. And this photo I just took in Iqaluit And it's strange because you fly over all these communities in Nunavut, and every town is laid out based on the automobile, and there's not even any road access to there. It's just a very strange idea. And it's the space, not only is it the fact that we use machines, but it's the space and the size of our communities that is placing such a huge load on our resources. Yikes. I just want to say a few things about LEAD. I'm sure some of you have heard about it. But LEAD in our office, LEAD stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. And it's kind of like the de rigueur thing to put a stamp on your project that you're energy efficient and concerned about the environment. But LEAD in our office has kind of become a bit of a four-letter word. And the problem is with LEAD is that it is southern-based, and it's more geared towards southern buildings. And so it's very difficult for northern buildings to use it. The other thing is it's performance-based. And the building that you're seeing here is an indoor ski hill in Dubai, in the hot desert climate. So that's the exterior, and this is the interior. And we used to joke in the office that this indoor ski hill could very well be the first LEED certified indoor ski hill in Dubai. And that used to be a big joke until we realized that it actually could get LEED certification if it tried. And that's when we found LEED to be not so funny anymore. And because it's performance-based and not value-based, our friends at Cobalt Engineering in Vancouver have ever so wisely stated that you can take a Hummer and you can tweak it and make it more efficient, but at the end of the day, it's still a Hummer. And that's the problem with LEED. LEED doesn't have any value judgments in it. This is a casino in Las Vegas, one of the brand new ones, cost over $1 billion. And it has 6 LEED Gold certifications. And I just believe that, in a perfect world, what we'd do is we'd have the first page of your LEED application would actually have this pass-fail question. And that question would be, are you a casino in Las Vegas? This is George Carlin, and he's actually one of our mentors, or my mentor anyway, and he's a comedian from the past. I'm kind of dating myself, but he's a very insightful comedian, and I think of him as a mentor. He's got brilliant routines. One of his famous ones was the 7 words you can't say on TV, and these are them right here. TEDx rules, I'm afraid. Anyways, he's George Carlin, so he's our mentor, and it's kind of weird that as an architect, your mentors are a shepherd and a comedian, but that seems to be the way it's working. Carlin had this routine about a guy who's really cold because it's winter, he has no house, so he builds a house, and then he's warm again. But then he realizes that in the house, all his food is going bad, so he designs a fridge. And in the fridge, he puts all his his food to keep it cold, to save it. And then he realizes that he needs a place that's even colder than the fridge. And so he builds a freezer. So he builds a freezer. Then he finds that there's other types of his food that are not doing so well in just the cold part. So he builds a butter dish. And so it can be warmer. What he's describing is Canada Game Center. And I use this facility all the time, love it. It is a great facility. But it is a little bit crazy when you think of it. The high energy use, we're using lots of energy to freeze 2 slabs of ice inside a warm building when it's minus 36 out. We just have, as Northerners, we just have to appreciate the kind of energy that goes into these facilities. We can appreciate them and still have them, but we just have to remember what is really going on. And that's the problem, is sometimes we get carried away with our technology. And we're to blame too, because we worked on that building. So that's part of our shame, I guess. And part of the thing that I find is happening is technology is allowing us to do things bigger. Like this, these are the pink houses from the 50s. And we keep since the 50s, our house sizes have doubled. And things like construction costs have gone up, and labor costs and costs of heating, and our household sizes have dropped, but our houses keep getting bigger. This is Atlan Lake. It's a frozen body of water, and this is what we're trying to do that's different from what we've been doing in the past. This frozen body of water, when you look at this, it's this. Well, what it is a very cold body of water. But in there, what we see is a big storage facility for heat. And that's what we've tried to do in this project. We worked with the Taku River Tlingit First Nation to build a building for them, a health center. And what we've used is, just very quickly, is they've installed a microhydro system in Atlan, which comes from Surprise Lake and creates power that will replace their diesel generators. And that will replace 1 million liters of diesel per year. And our building there is hooked up to that. And in the lower left-hand corner, you see geothermal coils, and those are buried at the bottom of Atlan Lake. And actually what it does is it just extracts all available heat and puts it into the building. It's kind of like a refrigerator that works in reverse. These are the geothermal coils before they got towed out to the lake to be sunk at the bottom. This is the heart of the machinery. This is another building that we did in Old Crow, and this is how we're trying to do things a bit better. We can only fly to Old Crow, there are no roads. So what we try to do is take such an inefficient transportation system and make it and try to do things as efficiently as possible. And what you see here is every single piece that went into that building. And it all had to be loaded into the Air North plane. And it's basically like a 3D jigsaw puzzle. And it basically went up in pieces. It was a kit of parts, easy to assemble. And there's the final building there. And so we were able to do that. And there was no construction waste at all. This is the local labor that put the building together. A lot of it was unskilled, basically like this jigsaw puzzle. One of the things, as I mentioned before, is not just our buildings are wasting energy, but it's our space that's a problem, the distance between us all. And this is a chart produced by Tim DeChant. He has a blog called Per Square Mile, and he let me use this, very nice of him. And basically it takes, if you took the whole world population, 6.9 billion people, put them in one city, how big would that city be? And then he used the different densities of different cities to show the comparison. You see Paris on the left, upper left there, very, very compact. Houston on the lower right. And so we took this map and we made one for Canada. So you see Paris not even taking up the entire Yukon. And that would be everybody in the entire world living as one city. You also see Toronto and Houston again. And then in the lower right-hand corner, you see Whitehorse. And what are we trying to do differently? Well, in our office, this is our office here. We've doubled in size in the last few years. And what we've tried to do is not get any bigger. We've tried to live in one room, all 11 of us, and try to survive that way. And basically, what we try to do when we plan other people's office spaces, we try to give them 200 square feet per person. And these are the 200 square feet per person rings. So you see all these overlapping rings. That means we're all like falling all over each other. So we're trying to live with that. And the way we try to live with things like that is by letting people use headphones, listen to music, increase their virtual sense of space. And you see how happy that makes people. And this is my business partner, Antonio Zeta. And he's modeling what a lot of us wear, which are these telephone headsets. And what it does is allows us to move around the office. And if it gets noisy, we move. If we have private conversations, we move to the boardroom. And that basically extends our space. This is our kitchen at Bay Cafe, our restaurant. It's also very small. It's only about 150 square feet. And me and my kitchen manager were both Japanese, and it turns out that a lot of our staff is Japanese too, and we figure that Japanese people are really well suited to working in that small space. And it's because if you go to Japan, it's very crowded, but at the same time, it doesn't feel so crowded. And it's because they have a lot of rules and they know how to live in a crowd. And I've always maintained that probably the most crowded place on all of Earth is Spruce Bog, our winter craft sale. Anyways, our goal is to try and get people to live closer together, and what we've been trying to do is try to get people to live more densely, and we've started with some buildings, doing our buildings of our own, trying to give everyone a front door, which is kind of a compromise for Yukoners to live in such dense confines. This is a project called Bling, and we bought 3 lots that would normally have 3 houses on it, and we put 18 units on it. And what we tried to do is to work on this pink area that you see here. And it's the pink area that we feel is really important as architects. This is the space outside, the space in between buildings that we feel is really important. And finally, what could we do in terms of a big idea? Well, here we have the area that Bling takes up in terms of land. We also have the standard city-sized lot, which is in blue. That's what that occupies, and we have country residential. So our idea is because all that is related to energy use, and what we have to do is we need to shrink that. And these are the people that we really won't get. Like, we're looking for people to sort of bring into the fold and live closer together, and we're not going to get people from the exurbs, hoarders, or the Unabomber type guys. But we can get people like this who are interested in urban community, northern sustainability, and the sort of the Walden Pond types. There is actually a community that meets all these requirements, and it is in Dawson City. It's West Dawson, which I really like, and it's got 3G telephone service, it's got land, it's got community, and it's actually walking distance to town, which is probably the most important thing. These are the areas around Whitehorse that the city is currently thinking of developing. And so my big idea is to create a new type of subdivision that you can walk to, kind of like a squatter's row type place, that you can walk to. The lots would be a little bit larger than city-sized lots, but there would be no services at all. No services. It could be for the back to the landers. It could be for people from the communities to move to, who had to move to Whitehorse for health reasons or educational reasons. It could be a very simple development. It could be for people who really don't have a lot of money, who can't spend money on lots the way they're priced today. So this would be going really back to basics, lack of services, and people living closer together, and there'd be a limitation on house size and tree clearing. So that's my big idea, and so the big idea is actually kind of a small idea. And I'm hoping that the next big thing is actually a small thing. And I sort of end on one of our mentors, Vincenzo Zetta, and I just want to show you how I think of him now, as he's this guy that's sort of up there in the sky looking down on us in the Yukon and sort of being our shepherd, and but also at the same time laughing his head off. Thank you very much.